All right, so let's do a quick trade recap for today, Thursday, September 18th on the NASDAQ using ICT concepts. So going into today, it was kind of my first day back. We've had FOMC this week, which meant kind of super light, not really taking any trades until Wednesday after FOMC, and I didn't see any trades. And in fact, if we look at my TradeZella on this account, you can see how little I've traded this month. The first week of September, no trades, I was gone. Second week of September, I took one partial loss over there. And then here's the third week of September, I finally took a trade after FOMC Wednesday. And looking back, I actually didn't even trade the fourth week of August on this account either. So pretty light on the trading due to a variety of different things in life. But let's review the trade. Oh, well, that's relevant because I wanted to explain why I went in so light. I'm obviously trading micros, and I went in with one micro because it's just more about the process for me than it is exactly about like getting to the payout right now. And I think that's important, and I think that's why it's like so easy for me is I'm not stressed, I don't care. And I think that's important for a lot of people to like consider is when we put the weight of making the payout, then all of a sudden trading becomes harder. We start seeing the charts not as they are, but as we want to see them. So for what it's worth. And I'll be scaling here over the probably next week. I'll continue pretty light for this week. And then next week I'll scale back up to my normal $200 risk and then push it up to the 250 that I'm supposed to be at for this account. So going into today, let's flip over to this chart. We can see here was the 9 a.m. candle, and we had this fair value gap below the 9 a.m. candle. We had this fair value gap. We had this liquidity on sell side, and then we had previous all-time highs. I'm going to go with the candle bodies on this right there. And so going into today, I was expecting some kind of drop down, and London made a high. I was expecting a drop down somewhere into here. I wasn't totally certain where it would go. I wanted to see it take the liquidity right here, the sell side, and then continue on up. But what ended up happening is both YM and ES took this liquidity, forming a SMT. SMT is a Kraken correlation between the assets. So they took the liquidity. And when I saw that happening, I started to look for my model on the lower time frame that met all of my criteria. And zooming into the chart here. So we have the 9:30 open. I was live right in here, and I had initially seen this little inversion breaker kind of thing with an SMT down in here. I didn't take it because I do not trust models at 9:30. I have a significantly lower win rate between 920 and 940, unless it looks absolutely perfect and it takes like 20 candles to form a breaker kind of thing. But that's not this. So I waited, sat on my hands. Price came down, stop hunted into that fair value gap. And this is midnight open as well. And then what I started to see is we had this inversion down in here. And once I saw this, I wanted to get long. So I ended up placing a limit order right on top of this breaker. But you'll notice that my execution arrow is not in here. TradeZella got weird on me. And I kept trying to, as I would adjust the positions of either my limit order, my stop, or my take profit, the browser would lock up and then just do nothing for like 30 seconds. And so I ended up having to kind of do an emergency shutdown of everything and was able to reboot relatively quickly. And once I did that, then everything was working okay, but I was kind of behind on my entry. There was this inversion here, and here was the first presented fair value gap for the day. And so this is also an inversion, and I was anticipating this being a breaker, a high probability breaker at that. So what's a high probability breaker? Now, a normal breaker is, let me go over here real quick. So we got price coming down like this. There's a stop hunt. Price does this, starts a trend shift, right? And here, what we have is a breaker, a normal breaker. Now, juxtapose that versus a high probability breaker. It's going to look like this, where price is coming down, does this, takes liquidity, does another liquidity hunt, and then starts going out in the other direction. So what we have here is this breaker took this buy side, took this sell side, and then reversed. This is a high probability breaker. And so I was anticipating this being a high probability breaker. However, I was okay with a little bit of an early entry because this first presented fair value gap had been inverted. Once this candle closed above, I marketed in on this candle. Let's see here. My take profit was roughly a little bit higher than this candle. And I think my stop was down here, roughly, somewhere in this zone. It was about a 2R, a little less than 2R. I think it was below that. So 1.7 approximately. So entered on this candle. Once price came up to... Oh, and I forgot some of the other criteria that was in this setup, but we had the liquidity hunt. We had a fair value gap down in here that it tapped into. We had a bullish SMT, and there are high probability targets. I saw these equal highs sitting right here, and I figured it would go at least to these equal highs, and if not to the news high, previous all-time high from London session. And so once I saw it take these equal highs, I moved my stop loss to break even, and then I started to trail it, move my stop loss up into here, and I was using a standard deviation projection to kind of figure out how far it might go, which is just I measured this leg of this breaker right here, and I noticed that I wasn't even at one standard deviation, which typically, you know, 2.5 is a target for a breaker. And so I was, well, even though I didn't have any targets above, because of this, it wasn't even at one standard deviation, I felt comfortable holding for 2R. So that was the breakdown for today's trade. And yeah, I guess Thursday tends to be my green day, my greenest day. So here the pattern continues. Friday is also one of my greener days. So I'm looking forward to getting in tomorrow. Friday morning, I'll be live around 9:30 Eastern time for the market open. So if you want to tune in and join me, I'd love to chat, hang out, and just read some price and take some trades live tomorrow. All right.